it's Lynn here, and it's time for your next instalment of your birth month flowers. So if you've been following this series so far, we've actually completed 4 birth month flowers. We've painted a beautiful carnation for the month of January. We've then done the violet for the month of February. We've then moved on and done the daffodil for the month of March. And then last month we did the sweet peas for the month of April. So today we're going to be working on a birth month flower for the month of May. And that's this lovely little illustration of a hawthorn. So we're going to be painting the hawthorn together today. So I've got a piece of A4 watercolour paper here, and I've just tucked the example just here to the left hand side, so you're just able to see it as we are sort of painting together. Now we will be doing a little bit of drawing with this design, so we're going to do that first. So you'll need a little bit, you need a pencil. So I've got my pencil here. I'm just going to sharpen just very quickly. It's a little bit blunt. You don't want a sort of a strong line drawing on this. You just want to keep it fairly sort of simple and loose. But all we're going to do is just literally draw these little simple flowers. That's all we're going to do to begin with. And they're just very easy. They're just 5 little petals that are just grouped together. And we're just going to make them a little bit irregular. Doesn't matter too much on the shape. And then we'll come down what will in effect be the stem. You can mix them so you've got groups of 5 and 4. So we'll just do a little group of 4 here. And then let's do a 5 next to it. Like I say, just keep it very simple indeed. You don't need to be too precise with this at all. So we've got 3 there to begin with, and then we'll just bring a line of 3 down the middle here. So again, we'll just go with the 5 petals. And then we'll do a second one. Let's just tuck that one just underneath ever so slightly. And then lastly, the final one just at the bottom here. There we go. And we can just join them up on the stem, so we can just weave that stem just through our hawthorns. And we need to allow some stems for the leaves. Like so. So it's just a very simple line drawing that you need to do before you start your painting. Okay, so once you've got your line drawing into position and you're happy with how that looks, we can then make a start on the painting. So I'm going to begin by just painting in the leaves. And you just need a nice shade of green. You can warm your greens up, so you can actually have a little bit of green and yellow mix if you wish. But I'm just going to get this green going here on my palette. It's a little bit of sap green with some yellow, just a small amount of yellow that's just been added just to give me that little bit of warmth. Paintbrush wise, I'm using a size 5. And and we're going to be doing the leaves freehand. So you're just going to want to just have one or two little sort of pointy edges, so it's a little bit sort of pointy in places. And let's come down to the point. So just use the tip of the brush to create those sort of points. And then you can fill in all of those, that lovely leaf shape. Now again, the beauty of doing something freehand is that you are able to change the shape and just manipulate that paint ever so slightly if you wished. So we've got one leaf in position. And then let's repeat that for another one. So again, just use the tip of the brush just to create those little pointy edges. And then when you have a shape that you are happy with, again, you can then just completely fill that space in. I'm not being too solid in the way that I'm painting, applying the paint this time. I am just leaving one or two areas of highlight and also just letting the paint pool in places just to give me that little bit of sort of contrasting colour. And then our final leaf is just at the bottom here. So again, just use the tip of the brush and just create those lovely pointy edges. And again, when you've got a shape that you're happy with, you can then just completely refill those areas. Just going to manipulate the shape ever so slightly, it's not quite right. And then we can just add some more paint. Okay, so once you've got your selection of leaves painted and you've just got some nice sort of pointy edges and a nice irregular shape, we can now turn our attention to the hawthorn flowers. And we're going to use the colour yellow. So you just want a nice bright yellow, something really vibrant. So it's best to pick up your yellow directly from the palette and not therefore sort of dilute it at all on the mixing palette. And all you're going to do with the yellow is just paint a yellow circle in the centre of each of the flowers. Like so. So the next colour that we're going to use is the colour brown, and you can change your brush for this, so you actually work with something that's just that little bit finer. You just want a nice plain brown, just a nice woody brown, because you're going to be using this now for the stem of your hawthorn. So something like your Van Dyke brown or even a sepia colour would work for this, but you just want that really nice sort of brown woody colour. And I'm going to use a size 1 brush, so I've got something that's quite fine. And I'm just going to make sure I've got my paintbrush completely clean and no sort of blobby end on there. It's loaded with the colour brown. And I'm just going to use the tip of the brush very, very lightly just to create those stems. You won't need to reload the brush with more brown if you're just very, very delicate with it. And then I'm just literally just sort of doing a little bit of a broken line just along the top of those stems, just for a little bit more texture. And then we'll come down and through the centre of the flower. There we go. Okay. So whilst that's now drying, we just need to mix a little bit of a grey mix. Now it can be a bit of a brown grey mix. It doesn't have to be a true grey. Just as long as you've just got something that's a little bit paler, and you can just use that for the shading within the petals of the flowers. So I've got a little bit of a brown sort of grey mix now just getting going on my palette. Just add a little bit more white to that just to make it a little bit lighter. There we go. And then using that size 1 brush again, so just use it, make sure it's been cleaned from using the brown. All you're going to do is just create that little bit of shading within the petal using that very, very pale colour. Now you may find that your yellow isn't quite dry yet, and that's fine. Allow the 2 colours to bleed together, and you can take some of that yellow then slightly out towards the base of the petal. So we'll just add a little bit of this grey brown mix. You don't need to be too precise with it, you can be nice and sort of loose with it. on going around our lovely little flowers. So you're just giving them a little bit of a hint of colour. And then the last one. There we go. Okay, so whilst those little flowers are just drying, let's come back to our green leaves, and we'll come back to that lovely sort of warm green that we've been working with. Still with the size 1 brush. And all I'm going to do is just use the tip of the brush and let's just add in just some little line details for those veins. Nothing too much. And we'll just add in just a couple of little extra bits of colour on those leaves as well. You can pop a little bit of colour on the tips, just so you've got some little bits of contrast, really, that's all. There we go. And then the final little thing that we need to do before the ink details is we can just go back into the centre of those flowers and just re-intensify those yellow centres. Like so. Okay, so I'm happy with how that looks. That now just needs to dry, and I'll be back again in just a moment with the ink details. Okay, so our little hawthorn illustration is now dry, so we can now start to add in the ink details. And I'm just going to keep it really fine with the ink details. So I'm going to use my 0.1 fine liner. And we'll start with these lovely leaves to begin with first. So all we're going to do is just add in those points and just be a little bit sort of wavy in how you actually outline those leaves. So don't do a sort of solid line, just have a little sort of zigzaggy, sort of wavy edge. And that just creates that lovely little shape to the leaf. You can then put that central line down the middle. And then let's just put a couple of little veins coming off the side. Nothing too heavy, just keeping it nice and fine. So we'll repeat that process on our next one. So again, just be a little bit sort of zigzaggy You can go up to the points, that's fine. And work your way all around the leaf. Like so. Again, pop in that central line, and we'll add a couple of veins. And then our last one. Again, just keep it sort of zigzaggy and wavy. Then we'll pop those little veins in again. And there's our leaves. Now we can add in just a single line on the stem, and we'll attach those leaves as well. And let's just take that stem up and through those lovely hawthorn flowers. And then we just need to put some little thorns in as well, so let's just put a couple of little lines just to add in the thorns. Like so. And then when it comes to the flowers, again, you're just going to be really, really light in how you're actually outlining. So we'll just be a bit sort of wavy again around that pencil line. And we'll come all the way around our little flowers. We can then just circle around our yellow centres. And then we can put a couple of little stamens in as well. So we're just going to put a couple of little lines coming out of that centre, and we'll just add a little circle on the end. Like so. And we'll just repeat that up the stem. So again, just nice wavy petals. Like so. Add a circle in the centre, and then let's just add those stamens. We'll work our way up onto the next one. Like so. last couple. And then lastly, the little one at the top. And then what we need to do is we can just write the word Hawthorn, or you could write it down the stem. It's entirely up to you. I'm just tucking that in there, Hawthorn. And then let's just write May at the top there. And there we have it, one little illustration of the birth month flower for the month of May, the hawthorn. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope painting this little illustration gives you a lot of pleasure, and also the recipient as well if you're creating a little birthday card with it. Do enjoy, have some fun with your painting, and I'll be back again soon. Goodbye.